Welcome to the Heather Pitty Podcast. This podcast is about going after the life that you're made for, not just surviving life, but actually thriving. So thanks for joining us. Let's jump in.
Oh,
I'm just going to record this. You're doing great. Keep talking.
Oh, yeah. I just want to embrace the moment, be fully present. And then within that, I'll find the answers. Like I said about the answers are inside the person for their own life. I'll find the answers that I need for my own life.
Right. And I don't want to be pitied either. I like what you said about that. What are you learning with empathy training?
Oh, yeah. I do it to myself because I just read a ton of books on empathy. So,
and you naturally have it.
Yeah. And I think it's like, when do people have that? How do people have that secret gift of being able to be good with people? Well, it's because they have empathy for people. And the empathy comes through those hard times that we've been in our life. And so when people are good at working with people, they have that empathy, but they also are wise with it. They know how much to talk about and how much to not talk about,
So well said.
Yeah.
And isn't that the tricky dance for those of us who are trying to be authentic? And we're going to blow it sometimes. That's why I laughed. I go, oh yeah, I've done that. I've overshared with the wrong person and it went over like a lead balloon. And then we feel the humiliation of it later.
Right. The vulnerability hangover. Yeah,
yes.
For sure.
Yes.
So it's like, but there needs to be, if a workplace has a space to allow for people to have that empathy for one another with the hard things that go on in their life, that place will continue to thrive and its employees will want to stick around.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't want to stick around to a job that you feel called to as a person? You feel like you are made to do it, but then also that you're cared about so well. And the other thing with empathy is when you get intelligent with it, most of the time it's just acknowledging people.
Yeah.
you don't have to
simple.
be the answer man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, it's just literally acknowledging that someone's going through something and let them talk about it. They're the one that has the solution within themselves. We don't need to have that for them, but allowing that to be a space, and then, it's the wisdom of, doing that time and time again and learning how to navigate it. If it does get a little bit heavy,
Yeah.
Because that can happen. So knowing how to navigate that and lighten the mood, with everything. So,
well, and I think I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was going to say, when people don't know how to protect themselves when they're being vulnerable, I think it's okay to step in and say something that's encouraging, but lighthearted and okay, time to change the subject, because I don't think that everybody in the workplace needs to hear, but there are some things I do believe employees need to tell their bosses, because the boss needs to know how the person's doing as a whole person, because they know that could affect, how they work. But if the boss is in the know, I think there's a lot more grace for the employee. When the boss is not in the know, that's when people start asking questions, what's going on with this person? And then that starts the gossip train, you know what I mean? And then it just spirals.
Yeah.
So the ability, again, it goes back to, if there's empathy in the workplace and it comes from the leadership and there's that space, I think it creates that space for employees to come to their bosses and say how they're really doing.
Yeah. I love it. You said that. That's the book I'm writing on. I'm not using the word empathy, but I might integrate it in there, but on grace space. Because there was so much harsh treatment. And again, I'm getting even more clarity as we're talking. It comes from within how we're speaking to ourselves. And so I know when I'm being mean to myself, I am a less productive coach, parent, mother, wife, friend, you fill in the blank. And I think to your point earlier I think this is why I get excited about you, because this is why I'm excited about coaching versus counseling, for the type of brain that I'm wired as. Counseling can really trigger that I've got to have the answers. I already have to fight that pull in coaching, but the cornerstone of coaching is the client holds the answers within them. It's our job to empower them to go after those answers. And I have to consistently remind myself that over the years. And I just think if I were in a position as a psychiatrist or a psychologist, the pressure that I would feel to come up with the answers, which is that model that's in medicine or any kind of mental health, which the irony of all that is I think it's keeping people stuck and in some ways keeping them crazy and unhealthy. And so how do we do that growth work and that inner work and that deep dive that you did and then go, and I'm going to use it for coaching? That's what I get excited about, because how many of us take that and then go use it into counseling because it was so therapeutic? And I want to go, I get it. I felt that pull too. But what if we use all that work we did in that growth work to say, and now I'm going to help you live up here. I'm not going to join you down here and stay down here with you, which is what I think a lot of therapy does and is important. Don't get me wrong. I'm always trying to say, I love it. I've hired my own. In fact, I'm talking to her in about 30 minutes. So I love having my own counselor there because I need them to meet me there. But man, to be a coach that says, you actually now get to trust yourself. You've done the work. What do you feel like your gut's telling you? What's your instinct telling you? What's your value code that's running while you're making this decision? How are you slowing down long enough to get your clarity and to check your beliefs and your confidence, and then to have the courage to move forward? And what action steps are you taking based on your clarity and your confidence? These are all coach-minded questions because we've done the work. So everything you said today was so exciting for me to hear, because I'm like, Joe, you're spot on. You're offering it and offering hope at a whole new level because you've done the work. And I knew you would, but you surprised me even more today. Just well done.
Thank you, Heather. I appreciate that.
So that's why I'm like, I don't care if they like it or not. I like it. We like it. And the other thing I'm learning too is being a pioneer is sometimes in blazing the trail, two people like it, but it's fascinating. 5 years from now, it's the new thing.
Right.
So I'm learning to trust that too. I mean, Brene Brown's first book did not sell.
Right.
And then she did the one TED talk on vulnerability, and that went viral and everybody went crazy about it, and I feel like, and it's also not my mark of success. As a follower of Christ, we get to go, maybe not. It might be meeting Nicodemus at night and that's about it. Right. Or it might be feeding the 5,000. I don't know. And I no longer am saying I have to reach this standard over here. I just get to show up and say, oh, I know the world's hungry for this. And I know that they need this. And this is, I believe, what I have to offer. And I have to figure out I'm starting this conversation, but I got to figure out how to grow it. So my newest project to get concrete is on these little 3C leading series books. So they're small books. And it's something I want to be able to offer. And I'm already thinking, I want to do another one on this. Leading while grieving, stepping into our leadership or supporting our employees that are leading with grief, leading while they're suffering, something along those lines. I haven't gotten the language down yet, but how do we step into that?
Yeah, I think the gray space, the brave space,
brave space. I love that.
Whatever we want to call it. I think you're right, though. There's not a language for it right now, because if there was a language for it, it would be in every workplace.
Yeah.
But it's obviously not. And then, I just keep thinking of that word empathy. I just think that when workplaces have that it just turns the whole workplace around. And then the other thing is, the coaching side of things, where you believe the answers are within the person. How would employees feel if when their boss walked into their office, the boss was already thinking, you're the expert, I believe in you, and the employee knows that? How are they going to work? They're going to work so hard for that boss because they're believed in.
Yes.
And that belief is going to fuel their thinking. and their thinking is going to be much more productive and kind to themselves.
Yep. And fight their false
And then,
beliefs.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they're going to be ruminating on all of those good thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the guy over at the other organization where the boss walks in and you're in trouble all the time,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they're going to be thinking a whole bunch of different thoughts, and they're going to be trying to save their butt. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how hard they work just to save their own behind. That's a whole different way to live and go through pouring your life out to the work that you do. And so I just think that realm of coaching is so powerful because it comes from that perspective. And that is a little bit where counseling can go a little haywire. Because you only need counseling to get you through those hard times. It doesn't propel you to the next level.
That's the word I'm thinking of. Yes, you're so well said.
And so coaching does that though. And I just like those two elements, like a boss walking into your office who believes in you, and like his own thoughts are, you're the expert, like you've got this. And then also there's a space for empathy where the employee feels safe enough to talk about what they're going through. I think in the end, the beauty behind all of that is that when the boss is going through a hard time, the company has empathy for the boss.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
They return. Yes. Because we've created a grace space or a brave space to.
Exactly. And I think that's going to become the future, because what's the one thing that COVID started to bring out in every organization? Every organization now is starting to have mental health help. They're like, okay, we're going to now hire in a company to provide mental health for our employees because they're going through these hard times. Did they not need that before? They needed it before. Right?
Yes.
But now because of COVID, they've now said, oh, this is serious enough. We need to actually do this because depression and mental health is becoming an issue. And so again, how do you do that? Well, you know, what's going to happen there is this, is that if you only get help through a counselor in that selected space, that's not going to transfer over to all of the work-life culture. What needs to happen is in the work-life culture, there needs to be a little bit of teaching and intelligence on empathy for one another, and a little bit of teaching about what coaching can do to change an organization, and a little bit of thinking about that coaching style of metacognition and being able to think believe in other people. Because I'll tell you what, every leadership book is starting to catch on to. It always says this one thing: assume positive intentions. Assume positive intentions. Assume positive intentions.
Lead with good intentions is a phrase I use. And I'm telling you, they all chant it. Heath, I walked in the conversation and I led with my good intent. And they're repeating that back over and over and over, because they're realizing that's the make it or break it point that will make the conversation either go well or it will make it completely explode and backfire.
Exactly.
And when it backfires, I say, did you lead with good intent? They're like, damn it. No, I didn't. And I go, it's all right. Just go course correct and tell them why you were having that conversation.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And like, if those are the thoughts that start to ruminate through a business's head, organizations, employees and bosses, man, come on, who wouldn't want to work for that organization like that? That's attractive,
Yeah.
And then when you do that for people, you bring out a higher level of intelligence. And I think that's the key, because then the business can be creative, and creativity only flows in those grace spaces or those brave spaces. Creativity does not flow when people are worried and, all those other things that we know, that businesses go through and everything. So that's what's got me inspired with like coaching. Cause I'm like, okay, I'm aware of all of this. And like, if I can, get some education in that realm and some professional development in like the coaching realm or whatever, I could step into a teaching district and really help out, because I'm like, I know this inside and out. And I could, come at it from a coaching perspective, which propels and elevates the thinking. And I think I could have a great impact. It'd be nice if I didn't have to get paid, if I could just walk in and just do it, but I probably am going to have to get paid for it. So I'm going to need a little bit of like some professional experience and education, to go along with it or whatever. But
I don't
it'll
know.
come.
You got a lot. You got a lot more than you think. Just listening to you. It's why I press record. And I'm serious. Pray about this, think about this, but just co-authoring one of these little books together. I'm telling you what was the best thing for me was writing that book. It created my language that I knew was in me.
Right.
And now all this other stuff is pouring out of me and I'm feeling this feistiness. And sometimes I have to get feisty, to get scrappy and say, this is what I want to talk about. I don't quite have a language for it yet, but I'm so tired of the violence. I'm so tired of the meanness. I'm so tired of the weirdness around suffering in the workplace. I think we can do this better. And people are asking for it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And now's the time,
Yeah, now is the time. Yeah. So think about that, pray about that. But just joining me on one of these little small sparks. I think I'm keeping it under 30,000 words because that's the other thing is people don't have time to read. So I want to honor that, meet them where they're at. And I'm like, if they can feel successful, Ken Blanchard just did a book, Simple Truths of Leadership. And it's literally like this. Here's the truth. And here's one page. It's 52 of them. Right. So it's almost like a devotional on leadership. It's super simple, but it's brilliant, I love it. I'm trying to keep it real simple because people they're not reading like they used to. I love the book that I published and I feel like it's who I wanted to present to the world, but it's hopefully for the leader who wants to sit down and do some reflective work. That's what I wanted to go after. But now I'm going after like, how do I do these quick books where they can say, let's buy 300 of them, get them into the hands of each employee on the idea of gray space. Okay, let's buy the whole series. This one's on empathy, and we're going to focus on that. So all of this, I'm looking at this going, oh my gosh, there's such a need for this out there. How do I grow that conversation and create these really quick things? And I have everything set up, Amazon, everything. Right. So to me, I just go, Joe, join me.
Yeah, definitely. I love it.
Give Sammy a hug for me.
I will. Thank you so much, Heather. Appreciate your time.
You too, my friend. Take care. Thanks for listening. And please drop a review. It really helps us out wherever you're listening from. And if you want to find out more about your clarity, your confidence, and your courage, go ahead and get my book. And you can find it at heatherpenny.com. Cheering you all on.